Hello, greetings to you all. You're watching OBN Horn of Africa. This is Talk to OBN show, our weekly program. I am your host, Addis Asafa. Today I brought you a young scientist, Naol Daba. Naol, I'm really glad to have you here. Could you tell us a bit about your profile, your childhood age, your family, about your parents, about your academic background, your college stay abroad, and your current career as well, your innovations?
I was born and raised mostly in Addis Ababa. I was born in Fiche, moved to Ambo. Then once I finished my lower KG classes, I moved to Addis Hillside School. After third grade, I moved to Andanet International School. Once I did my first year of my high school, my freshman year, I moved to Pineywood School in Mississippi. So mostly that's my education side of the story. As far as family, I have 4 sisters and no brother. It's typical Ethiopian family. We love each other yeah.
Good. Okay, you went abroad for your study, right?
Yes.
How did you get that chance? Is that through free scholarship or you paid for college fee?
Since my early years, I used to do a lot of outside activities, some of which is painting or playing sports or related. Once I finished my freshman year of high school, I got a sponsor to take me to United States and do my high school, finish my high school there. While studying in United States, I also involved myself in different activities outside of class. That also gave me a scholarship to finish the rest of my higher education, and I moved back to Ethiopia.
Okay, apart from physics, economics and public policy, you took piloting training as well. Have you completed that as well?
When I was in university, I had free time just like any university students, and with that free time I decided to apply for a pilot license and take courses there. So I got full scholarship for the piloting class. I used the same technique, which is I talked to as much airport owners as I can. Eventually, 1 or 2 of them picked up, and after that we had a conversation, a short interview, and they funded my piloting course. So it's a private piloting class, up to 4 passengers, single engine. And with that, I also decided to be a little adventurous, and I did skydiving at the same airport from 13,000 feet. That's also one of the outside of class activities I involved myself in.
So we could say Captain Naol as well, right?
Sure.
All right. Ethiopian government has launched ever remote sensing satellite in last December, right? What is its contribution for the development of the country? Like many countries these days are computing to send their satellite to the space. What is the importance of sending those satellites to the space?
So it depends on which perspective you want to look at this at. So from a technological perspective, we can get our own unique data from our own command centers. So for example, on agriculture, we can get index mapping or terrain mapping, whatever we want to map with remote sensing. From security point, we can get security data locally with no need for buying information from outside countries and spending our money. From different perspective, you can also think of it as a motivational move, which means because we launched the satellite, it most likely has inspired, even if it inspires one person, it has done its job.
Good. Talking about this UAV that you have assembled, one is used to spray pesticides in agriculture, right? The other is used to test temperature in combating COVID-19, right? Still, we have a devastating desert locust outbreak. Why don't you develop such UAVs to mitigate those desert locusts?
Pesticide, they can do so much because of human limitations. So maybe 1 hectare per day, or maybe even less. Also not considering the health impact it has when the chemicals are blown back into our lungs or other organs. With the current UAVs we have, we can spray pesticide for up to 65 hectares per day. So that's a big leap in technology, and it would increase the agricultural yield greatly. The second one you mentioned was for the desert locust. So currently we're trying to work on that and see how UAVs can combat the desert locust. It's a huge project, and the way the desert locust spread is really rapid. So they need lots of UAVs and spray machines that can combat that. And the third thing you mentioned was the heat sensing. After COVID-19 pandemic started, we moved most of our R&D towards developing our own temperature sensor, or as we call it, the unmanned temperature sensor. Because what I noticed was in Ethiopia, most places have the temperature gun that you use for pointing at someone's head to get a temperature reading. We wanted to make a local machine that's more accurate and more realistic as far as using in Ethiopia. What we noticed was when you have a temperature gun given to a person or a guard at the door, they don't tend to use the machine effectively because of human limitations and human errors. So our machine is unmanned, meaning you get the temperature reading from a distance while walking close to it, and if you don't get the temperature tested and just try to pass the door, it would signal and start an alarm.
Good, okay. And Jet Dynamic is working on technology and empowering youth, right?
Yes.
How do you empower those youth apart from these technology activities? You're working in empowering youth, right?
Yes.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
So mostly it's transferring knowledge that I have acquired from previous backgrounds that I have. Even though my formal education is more on physics and more theoretical aspects, I spend most of my time also reading and teaching myself more applied and different things, even business or economics or any other philosophy or any other subject. So it's more of transferring the knowledge and also being that one person that shows the youth that it's possible to do high-tech things locally, because the way most people think about high-tech things and technology is it's hard to do any big tech company. It's hard to start a big tech company in Africa generally, because most tech giants are located outside Africa. So once high-tech companies start emerging in Africa, that itself would empower not just Ethiopians or local people, but Africa and even more to the international audience.
Okay, you were Edmonds College's Board of Trustees, right? Could you tell us your experience that you have earned by being a Board of Trustees there?
So when you live in a foreign country away from your family's care and you're by yourself, there will come a time when you make decisions by yourself. And some of that decision will greatly impact how you would turn out in the next couple of years, or even in long term. So when I noticed that I had some free time on my hand while attending college, and also started pilot license, and I was also working part-time to pay some of my own bills, I noticed I can use my time to give service back to the community, because regardless of where I'm living, I'm using that country's resource. So it's a give-take relationship you should have for the country. So I noticed that I could use my free time for serving. So I applied to be a board member at the Edmonds College, and the governor appointed me as a board of trustee for Edmonds, and I served for a year. After my appointment, we were, at the college, we worked on huge things. For example, one was electing the president of the college itself. I participated in that. The second was creating a diversity center for students. And what that means is we at the college, we have students from China, Africa, Russia, from all over the world. They have different beliefs, they have different religion, culture. It's a lot of diverse people packed into one campus. So I wanted, the idea was to create a space where all of them can feel included. So we created a diversity center where students can attend library or play games or pray. So it was just a safe space for the students and other faculties on campus.
Good. You have studied economics and public policy in Chicago, and BA degree in physics in Edmond College, and piloting training as well, right? But I thought your personal calling tends to physics, while I see your innovation and assembling UAVs and drones. Why you failed to, pursue in economics and public diplomacy or other fields that you have earned lesson during college stay?
Education system generally is structured for students to learn through and pass. So it's not more of a calling or not so much if one person studies a specific field that they should be stuck with the field. I enjoy physics for personal purposes, just understanding how things work. But what I learned from the education system generally is I learned how to teach myself. So it didn't matter if it was physics or math or business or philosophy. What teaches you the most is what you do every day of your life. Physics gave me a good background to understand and to manipulate some things I need. So for example, one thing in physics that I learned in physics is when you have a big problem, you subdivide it into smaller problems and you solve one by one. So even though that's a physics technique or style that you use, you can use that in any part of your life. So physics was more of a calling, like you said, in a sense it teaches me a lot of things, and it interests me how the universe works. Yes, it teaches you exactly how reality works instead of living inside an illusion that you don't know. But other than that, I use economics every day of my life. I use business every day of my life, and it's just a balance of educating yourself on what you need.
Good. Now, surprisingly, after completing your study abroad, you have chosen to get back to Ethiopia. This is really unusual, having such knowledge, having such reputation. people wouldn't prefer to get back to their country. How did you decide that?
To put it in simple form, the reason I went to US and the reason I attended the universities I attended is because of the opportunity I got. There's nothing more to it. So whenever you have opportunity to do something, you should also give the opportunity back. That's the simplest way of thinking about it. But for me, the way I see things is, so my background, my family, they're politicians, so public service is one of the key things I learned from them. And also personally, I believe in one thing, and that is anyone could be me. And the only difference I have from anyone else is opportunity. So what that means is I don't choose where I'm born from, but I can choose what I can do after I'm born. That's what it means. After one is born, anyone can choose to do anything they want, good or bad. For me, when I left Ethiopia, my intention was not to go and work in other foreign countries. My intention was to learn, get knowledge, come back and work within my country, regardless of the difficulties or challenges I might face. Those are challenges that will be faced regardless if it's me or someone else. So facing those challenges now and breaking the barrier, fighting against the bureaucracy, is also part of advancement in our country.
Okay, how do you see the advancement of technologies these days?
Right now, currently, in my opinion, His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed has a really, really positive and strong outlook on technology. And that has resonated with a lot of people because it's very hard to imagine doing high-tech technology companies if the political system, leaders that lead the country are not open-minded towards the technology itself. But in Ethiopia and Africa in general, I think, in my opinion, people are understanding the benefit of technology and how fast it can improve people's livelihood.
Good, Naol. What is the very incredible technological innovation that you fail to believe?
From around the world, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I think what impressed me the most as far as technology goes is Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket innovation of landing rockets back to Earth after space travel. And reason being is, in his words, he said, imagine flying in a Boeing 777 or any airplane and not being able to reuse the plane. Every time you land, imagine if it just breaks. That would be a really costly solution to fly. So when you have rockets that go one way and break when they come back, it makes us very far away from space exploration. But once his company SpaceX innovated the rocket landing, return landing back to Earth, that made a lot of space exploration and expeditions much closer and made them more realistic to dream about. Even in his words, thinking about creating multi-planetary species with humans, going to Mars, living on Mars and other planets. That's really interesting to me.
Good. Okay. Talking about NJET Dynamic PLC, could you tell us a vision and mission of your company?
Yes. So our mission is very simple. It's to create high-tech solution for Ethiopia and Africa. We should know what resources we have and how we can use them to our benefit. What resources we have in Africa and use it to our benefit. Because my understanding, Ethiopia has a lot of resources that is not being used by Africans and Ethiopians. So it's mostly about knowing what we have and achieving the most out of what we have already. The vision is to create a global company, a high-tech company that can compete with any other high-tech company and create large innovations on a global scale, similar to how I mentioned Elon Musk and his SpaceX company. Because before him, before SpaceX, rockets do not land back, so it made rocket really expensive. So one company comes out of nowhere and makes rockets and space flights much cheaper. So creating knowing big problems and creating solutions for that on a global scale is our vision.
Okay, what is your future direction? Where we should wait and get dynamic after some 10 years?
Yeah, so my goal is to work on different projects, just not one, and lead the innovation and see which guide the technology locally. That's my goal, but currently we're really focused on the advancing UAV technology in Ethiopia, because unmanned technologies or drones are going to be necessary for the futures to come. It's going to impact agriculture, like we mentioned, but also the shipping industry will change. Cargoes will not be moved the way they're being moved now. Taxis are not going to be on the ground anymore. People are going to fly to their location. And most things are changing towards unmanned and drone services. In Seattle, where I was, they have drone delivery for pizza or drone delivery for medical equipment, medicines. So it makes it much easier, less traffic, you get delivered faster. So that's a high-tech solution. So, and then when we go towards defense, even the military needs to have unmanned services. So our soldiers, or should I say our brothers and sisters that are serving the country, should not always be at risk of dying just because they're serving the country, but give them other solutions, give them better data, collect better data for them to increase their chances of doing quality work and while serving the country.
Okay, we need to be clear now. What that UAV acronym stands for?
UAV means unmanned aerial vehicle. So most people refer to UAVs as drones, and drones are different from UAVs. And the main difference is drone is anything that's unmanned. For example, if you have a car that's unmanned, that's a drone. If you have a boat that's unmanned, that's a drone. But UAVs are specifically for unmanned aerial vehicles, so anything flying that's unmanned will be a UAV.
Okay, what was your childhood dream? Be in your mind. My question is, most children these days or in the past, including me, we've been saying, I need to be a doctor, I need to be an engineer, I need to be a scientist, I need to be a teacher, I need to be a philosopher, I need to be a politician, I need to be a prime minister. But this doesn't fit with our childhood dream. When it comes to Naol, I guess your childhood dream was to be a scientist, isn't it?
Yes.
How do you see that?
Honestly speaking, I didn't fully choose what I wanted to be, or even understand what it meant. So it has changed over time. But the longest.
Because we live in dynamic world.
Exactly. So every day things change, and I change with the society. But one thing I did keep deeply. I mean, at some point I wanted to be an astronaut and go to space. At some point I just wanted to be an engineer. At some point I wanted to just work in a lab. So I've wanted to be a lot of things, but the root of all those is what I took from that was I wanted to be of value for something larger than I want it to be of value of something larger. And what I mean by that is, if I wanted to be, for example, if I chose to be an engineer, I wanted to be the best engineer possible. But as I grew up, I realized how the world works in a better form, how things operate. Once I realized that, I made a choice to work and make my own company instead of working for someone else. That way I can get my financial freedom and my time to think and innovate on a larger scale.
Okay, what was the role of your parents?
My parents, to be like very clear, are very open-minded people as far as allowing me to explore things in a safe manner. Whenever, as a kid, for example, I used to break a lot of toys that I get. So instead of penalizing or making me down for breaking things, that would encourage me and let me break and reassemble the toys I get. As I grew older, they were open to giving me more mature advice to support some of the things I do. But all in all, open-minded people was what we can take from that. And because of their position, they are really strong in terms of the public service. So that's one thing I also learned. Maybe also a critical reason why I decided to come back was maybe subconsciously I was listening to all the words and public service things they used to mention at home or on the media. So maybe subconsciously that motivated me to come back, but I think it played a role.
Okay, and now apart from your technological career, you're pretty good at sketching and art. I have heard that.
Yes.
And you have art gallery center as well.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit about it as well?
So I have art in a gallery, and I started sketching when I was a kid as a hobby. Some people like music, some people like swimming. Mine was art. After I went to United States, we had a statewide competition. Most of my life, I didn't really care much about the other people's opinion or society's opinion on art. I just did it because it was fun for me. But once I moved to US, my art teacher, who was also my tennis coach, made me realize how art can impact society. And for example, in the 1900s, Vincent van Gogh was a post-impressionism artist. And I'm not sure if you know, but he has a painting called The Starry Nights. It's a really famous painting. What he did with this art was he almost revolutionized the astronomy. Because before his time, everyone that painted named their painting after the foreground or the middle ground. But in his case, he named his painting The Starry Nights by the background. So it gave attention to stars, the sky. People started being curious about why is the star where it is. So it moved people into astronomy. So once I realized art has a big impact, I pursued it more seriously. In Mississippi in high school, I went into a competition for the 2012 US presidential election. And I drew a political cartoon sketch for President Obama, and I won that competition, and I was awarded Outstanding Citizenship gold medals and other prizes. And after that, I realized how truly art can impact society. So I wanted someday, hopefully, I can do art for Ethiopia and also impact Ethiopia the same way.
Okay, would both gender equally participate in technological works and advancement in Ethiopia? Do you think that?
I think Ethiopia now, in my opinion, is open for accommodating all gender equally. thanks to His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed. Even our current president is women. I think that empowered a lot of women to dream and think they can do more than just what society usually categorizes women as. In society, I think women are raised to be, it's an opinion, raised to be more soft, raised to be, especially in Ethiopia, I can speak about Ethiopia, women are seen as people that work in the kitchen or assistant positions. You never encounter a woman that's independent doing her own thing. And that's not because they're not capable, it's just because the country was not open to such ideas. The country was not open to allowing the equality to happen. But now I think that has changed. Personally, I see a lot of women in really, really strong positions, powerful positions. Even within the business world, we have a lot of big tech companies like Ride, owned by women. So Ethio Telecom is run by a woman. The president is a woman. PM cabinet is almost half of them are women. So what that does is, like I mentioned before, I have 4 sisters. So 3 are younger than me. So it would motivate them to think like they can also do what I can do. They can also do what other women or men can do. So we created almost like a mind shift after His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed was elected to the office.
Okay, good. Thank you for your time. Hope our audiences heard and read about your new assembled UAV, but they never know how its application is. Could you describe it for about some 5 minutes or 3?
So UAVs have, they can be complex or simplified depending on what kind of UAV we're dealing with. So on this UAV we have a GCS or a remote controller. GCS stands for the ground control system, and we have the main UAV itself. So the UAV has a GPS system and motors and any payload that you want to put on the UAV. So how this UAV runs is using battery. So other UAVs use gas or other means of energy source. This one specifically uses battery and can fly almost 2 hours and do surveillance missions. The way it's set up now is with the payload we have now is a light system and a sound system. Yeah, yes, and and a sound system there. The reason we decided to do this is we wanted to fly this around the city to create awareness for COVID-19. Currently in Ethiopia, we're using cars with speakers to go around creating awareness. But at the rural areas and some places in Addis, it's hard to reach a large audience really fast. So this UAV helps reach audience by signaling sound and light to any location we need.
I'm really proud of you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Dear viewers, you have been watching Talk to OBN show. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.